We'll go ahead and get started here. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Danny Conforti, and I am one of the financial advisors here at Pathlight Advisors. Today, we're going to be discussing some key variables behind planning for retirement for those folks who are in the age range of 30 to 50 years old. Retirement is an ongoing journey that requires planning, not just a single goal to reach. How we live and save today shapes our future spending, so building good habits now is critical. Creating a financial plan means setting goals, understanding inflation's impact over time, and managing your time and the risk you're taking. Starting early gives us more control and flexibility, making today the perfect time to begin preparing for retirement. During our earning years, it's important to assess if our career path aligns with our retirement goals. Consider whether a move in your field could help you save more effectively. You want to make sure that you're breaking down your retirement goals into, setting a target, estimating the costs, and calculating how much you need to save each year based on a realistic rate of return over time and the inflation rate you're assuming. Start building good financial habits now, save, invest, and make the most of your employer-sponsored plans. Finally, balance saving with managing spending and paying down debt to stay on track for a secure retirement. Managing spending is crucial for financial health. Start by tempering big spending desires like new cars or bigger homes. Those kind of things can usually wait. You want to make sure that you're tracking your savings so you're not left wondering where your paycheck went. Money coming in, money going out. You want to make sure that you're aware of your cash flows every month. Pay yourself first by allocating part of your income to retirement and savings before it hits your account. Consider splitting direct deposits, for example, 10% to retirement, 10% to a rainy day fund, and 80% to your checking account. It's important to build a rainy day fund with at least 6 months of expenses and a high yield savings account so that we have a sinking fund in case something happens that is unexpected. That's why we call it an emergency fund. Very important to set yourself up with this. If you don't have an emergency fund of some kind and something happens, you lose your job, and then all of a sudden an AC unit goes out, you got to fix your car, couple $1,000s needs to come out of your pocket. It's important that we have some money saved up for those types of events to avoid going into debt or perhaps taking out of your retirement savings in order to cover those costs. The key message here is to balance saving for your child's education if you do have children and saving for your own retirement. Don't deplete your retirement savings to fully fund your child's education. The fact of the matter is your child can get student loans, but you cannot get loans for retirement. Here we can see just how significantly the number of checks you'll receive decreases as you get older. The goal is to find the right balance, saving for your child's education, but not at the expense of your own financial security for retirement. Your future self will thank you for planning ahead. And really what we can provide for each and every one of you is a guided path to creating balance in your financial lives. Not just determining, should we be saving for our child's college? Should we be saving for retirement? How can we effectively balance your cash flows and your income and maximize that income so that we can accomplish multiple different facets when it comes to your goals? That's why planning is so important. It's not just a one-time snapshot of your financial picture. It's an ongoing process. So planning really starts with determining how we can maximize your biggest wealth building tool, which is your income. And in order to really maximize your income, we need to understand where that income is going. And so completing a budgeting worksheet just like this one is a great way to get started with getting a handle around your finances. Now, when I mentioned budget to clients and I mentioned budget to other folks, they kind of tense up and they think that Creating a budget means that they're going to be limited on how much they can spend on eating out or going on vacations. That's not necessarily the case directly. What a budget really allows us to do is understand what your cash flows are, understand where your hard-earned money is going, the money coming in every month and the money going out, what the difference is between those two numbers, and trying to maximize that in order to reach your longer term goals. So that's really why I like to ask everybody to fill out a budget. I think it's a very useful tool to understand those cash flows and how to maximize your income. So if you'd like a copy of this, you can give us a call, and we can send you a copy at a moment's notice. So just don't hesitate to reach out. Like I said, I'll include our contact information at the end on the last slide, so you can give us a call and request that budgeting worksheet. We'll get that right over to you. And then if you'd like time for me to sit down and review it with you, I'd be more than happy to do that as well. We can always set that up on Zoom, in person, or just on the phone. The general rule of thumb is that you'll need 80% of your retirement income, including Social Security, to maintain your lifestyle in retirement. You can generally multiply your current income by 25 to get a rough target for your required retirement savings portfolio. For example, if you earn $40,000 per year currently, your target portfolio balance would be around $1 million for retirement. It's important to check if you're on track to reach your retirement savings goals and make adjustments as early as possible if needed. Time is our most valuable asset, and if we don't utilize our time to its fullest extent, we are going to be left behind the 8 ball. We can't buy back more time. We can always make more money. So just keep that in mind. The earlier you get started on this stuff, the better position you're going to be in the long run. Some of you might be in your early 30s just kind of getting started. You're not too sure if you want to spend the time to really dive into planning for retirement, but I can assure you, you're going to be left in a much better position when it comes to retirement age if you get started now versus waiting a couple of years to do that. Our team is available to provide assistance if you need help planning and preparing for retirement. It's a very important financial milestone, obviously. So, be sure to reach out if you need some guidance, if you'd like some guidance or support along the way. That's what we're here to provide you. So please utilize this as a resource. We'd be more than happy to provide some guidance to you. Most people save anywhere from 3 to 6% of their pay into retirement savings accounts. The reason for this is that people will see that their employer's match is around 3 to 6% and only end up saving that amount, when in reality, you should be saving around 10 to 15% starting in your earliest working years. Your employer match is not a prescription for how much you should be saving. Investors between age 30 and 50 should be open to more growth-oriented investment strategies, which allows for more time for potential gains. You should consider increasing salary deferrals when receiving a raise or after paying off loans, as well as regularly checking your math to ensure you're on track to reach your goals. For those around age 50 and over, there is a catch-up provision that allows you to save more for retirement. So be proactive about appropriate saving and investing strategies as your age and risk tolerance change in order to put yourself in a strong financial path. So, there's a lot that has to do and a lot that we consider when it comes to financial planning and when it comes to planning for retirement. I would say one of the biggest things we need to be focusing on is how much we are saving. I wouldn't say that's the only thing we can control, because there's multiple things, but that is the main thing that we can control that will far impact how successful we are versus if we fail when it comes to preparing for retirement. We can't control the markets. We can't control if the S&P or the general market is going to return 10% next year, or it's going to be down 5% next year, or up 15%. We can't control those things. What we can control is how much we're working, how much we're saving, how much we're spending. Those are all things we have control over. And so if we can get a hold of your budget, understand what your cash flows are, determine how much you can be saving based on how much you're making, how much you're spending, we can really start to make sense of some of these numbers and determine if a 10 to 15% 401k savings or total retirement savings is appropriate for you, if we need to increase that because maybe you're starting a little later, or maybe you're getting started and you're 30 years old, maybe 10% is sufficient. Everyone is different. And again, it really starts by understanding what your income is doing. And that's why a budget is usually the first thing I recommend filling out, so that we can really start to unravel all of these other elements that go into play when it comes to planning for retirement. Some employer-sponsored plans allow for both traditional pre-tax contributions as well as Roth after-tax contributions. So I'll explain the differences between the two and give you an example that is hopefully easy to understand. So when it comes to saving into your 401k or your 403b or what have you in terms of your retirement accounts, typically most people have 401ks, some have 403bs. They act essentially the same in terms of how much you're putting away and how they work in terms of the growth and the taxes. So when you're making contributions to your 401k on a traditional basis, which we often refer to as pre-tax, your contributions are made before income taxes are withheld. All of the dollars that go in on the pre-tax basis are tax deferred, and you pay income taxes on distributions from those pre-tax dollars in retirement. So I'll give you an example. If you make $50,000 and you contribute $10,000 to your pre-tax 401k, you are getting a tax deduction for that current year. So your taxable income, and I'm oversimplifying this, but your taxable income is $50,000, your gross income rather. You put $10,000 away into pre-tax, your gross income now goes from $50,000 down to $40,000. So you're paying less taxes because your gross income is reducing because you're putting that amount into your 401k. The money grows tax deferred, and when you're in retirement and you go to take distributions out of the pre-tax bucket, that's when you pay taxes on those dollars. That's why we refer to it as tax deferred. You're getting a tax break now. You're letting those dollars grow tax deferred. You're paying taxes down the road. So I typically recommend utilizing pre-tax if you're in a higher income tax bracket. Maybe you're in the middle of your career. You're earning the most money you're going to be making for your career. You could perhaps take advantage of utilizing the pre-tax option, get that tax deduction of the $24,500 for how much you're putting away into the 401k from a maximum standpoint. And that can significantly save you on taxes potentially for the given year, let's say 2026, of how much you're putting away. So if you're making a lot of money now, I typically lean pre-tax. If you are in the beginning of your career, maybe you're younger, you're in your 30s, you're just getting started in your career, you have a lot of earnings potential in front of you, but maybe let's say you're not making as much right now as you will in 15 years, perhaps using the Roth feature might be more suitable for you, and I'll explain how this works. So the only difference with the Roth is the timing of the taxation, okay? So with Roth contributions, we often refer to those as after-tax contributions. So your contributions are made after income taxes are withheld. Everything grows tax-free, and in retirement, you do not pay taxes on those distributions from your Roth account. So same example. You make $50,000, you put $10,000 away into your Roth 401k, you are not getting a tax deduction for that year. So you're still paying taxes on $50,000 of income. You're not getting a tax break now. However, that $10,000 goes into your Roth bucket inside of your 401k and it grows tax free. So if you're 30 years old, you have 30 plus years of tax-free growth in a Roth account, where when you get to retirement and you have this big bucket of money in Roth after-tax dollars, you do not pay any taxes on those funds. So that's a big advantage for those of you who are just getting started in your career, or maybe you're in the beginning stages of your earning potential. But for those of you who are getting closer to retirement, maybe you're in the peak of your earning career and you're making good money, it might be worth sticking with pre-tax to take advantage of the tax deduction, knowing in retirement you might have a lower taxable income. So again, it's a case-by-case, person-by-person basis. I work with my clients to determine exactly how much they should be saving into pre-tax or Roth, or maybe a little bit of both. If you'd like some questions answered, you'd like some general guidance when it comes to determining what the most optimal way to save in your 401k is, please let me know. I can provide some additional guidance on that. So please don't hesitate to reach out with some questions, and I'd be happy to talk to you about that. Here we can see the impact of different salary contribution levels on your take-home pay. So if you make $20,000 annually, a 1% contribution increase would affect your take-home pay by just $5.77 per paycheck. If you make $40,000 annually, the same 1% contribution increase would affect your take-home pay by $11.54. And lastly, if you make $80,000 per year, your take-home pay would be decreased by $23 per paycheck if you increase your 401k contributions by 1%. So I typically recommend increasing your contributions as time goes on. If you can't necessarily max out right now, which for a lot of people that's not an easy reality. That's not something that is easy to do. It's much easier said than done. So for those of you who are in that sort of position, I typically recommend starting with what you feel comfortable with and increasing those contributions as time goes on. If you don't feel like you can save now as much, let's start off with 6 or 7% and let's increase it by 1% every year. If you're making $40,000, a 1% increase to your 401k contribution can go a long way in the long run, but it's only an $11.54 obligation that you have to make every 2 weeks. That's cheaper than a trip to Chipotle nowadays for lunch. So if you can give up one of those every 2 weeks, you'll be able to save an extra 1% in your 401k and put yourself in a much better position when it comes to retiring. Another area of your financial picture to address is insurance. Maintaining adequate health insurance is critical to avoid excessive medical costs that could hinder your ability to save for retirement. If you have someone who is dependent on your income, it's important to evaluate life insurance needs to ensure you're sufficiently covered. Two main types of life insurance include term and permanent insurance. In order to determine which types of insurances are suitable for your situation, it's important to speak with an advisor, either myself, someone else on my team, someone else at a different firm, who can educate you on your options. We are insurance specialists. We're licensed insurance specialists. We can provide you with guidance when it comes to health and life insurance, property, and different types of like car insurance, things like that. We can't necessarily provide too much guidance on, but when it comes to disability insurance, long-term care, life insurance, health insurance, we can provide you with sound advice that is suitable for your best interest. So please reach out. Again, I sound like a broken record in that regard, but I want to make it known that we are available as a resource for you in case you have questions. And with that being said, thank you all for your time today. If you have any questions or would like to set up a time to speak with me, please give us a call. The phone number is down below, the 480-591-1999 number. We'd be more than happy to set up some time and speak with you and answer any questions you might have. Thank you all very much for your time. I hope you all have a wonderful night and best of luck with your retirement journey.